different plants, different voices, and different ways of having conversations. It's time to get personal with plant medicine. Welcome back to Getting Personal with Plant Medicine. I'm your host, Diana, and today I am joined once again by the lovely Tashiana Reeves. How are you doing today, Tashiana?
I'm great. How are you, Di? I'm so
Good.
happy to be back.
Can I call you Tosh because that's what I call you in real life?
Yeah, you can call me Tosh. Everybody calls me Tosh. Anybody can call me
I was
Tosh.
trying to be formal.
You're so funny. You are so funny. No one calls me Tashiana unless I'm in trouble.
So, anyway, you are a seasoned expert here on the show, but also in real life because you're a clinical expert. A clinical expert. A clinical herbalist.
Yes.
And today we're going to talk about two plants that are not only complementary to kratom, if that's what you choose to consume, but they
Mm-hmm.
are also excellent additions to any plant medicine routine. So, I'm talking about blue lotus and ashwagandha. Ashwagandha. See, this is the one I always get hung up on the way. I
Ashwagandha.
say, and I even
Ashwagandha.
said that before we started. I was like ashwagandha, ashwagandha, and then I went back and said ashwagandha, whatever I just said.
Oh my goodness.
Ashwagandha.
It's okay. It ties a lot of people up, especially the spelling. So that usually is really what trips people up there.
Yeah, definitely. So okay, now that we've moved on, now that we figured out how to talk about it or pronounce it,
How to pronounce it?
before we start talking about them, however, just a quick disclaimer: we are not giving medical advice, and we are not doctors. Even though we might have a lot of experience with these
We have a
plants,
lot of expertise,
we
but
are
we are
not
not
giving medical
professionals.
advice. Just a quick
Right.
disclaimer there. However, because you're an herbalist and a healer, you use these plants on a regular basis. So, can you talk about a situation where you've decided to recommend Blue Lotus to a client?
Oh, yeah. Well, without giving too much
Right, right.
disclosure about, but of course, I do work. Me, my approach is very synergistic. So I work with all plants in a spiritual and a medicinal sense. Typically, I'm going to. I will say the most frequent recommendation I give for clients when I am recommending Blue Lotus into a regimen for them, they suffer from some sort of sleep disorder typically. Like my one of my most recent clients like had extremely severe insomnia. So that for that physical ailment is why I also chose to, I don't want to say suggest Blue
Yeah.
Lotus for their regimen, if you will.
Mhm.
You got to be very careful with the wording. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So you never
Yes, I
know.
do.
But also, yes. But also, in terms of a spiritual layer to it, this particular client was suffering with issues in terms of like their dream states. This actually came from them having like a sleep study, so I was able to like look and observe like their different patterns when they actually do sleep. And Blue Lotus was like a kind of a no-brainer for their regimen because of its ability to help regulate sleep cycles, and keep you kind of in a nice theta state too as well. So yeah, that was probably one of the most recent suggestions I made for it. But I feel like I'm always suggesting Blue Lotus all the time. Like I a lot of people overuse it in my opinion,
Mhm.
but I genuinely, when I find someone that it will serve them well, it's definitely the top of my list.
And so, talking about using it, there are a lot of different ways that you can use it, many different
Right.
applications. We have tincture, you can smoke it, you can drink it,
Hmm.
you can eat it in gummy form, which I like. I've recently done
Yeah.
that. So, what is your preferred consumption method and why?
Okay. So, of course, I just want to say this to everyone. This is just my personal preference, okay? Every way of form of consumption has its benefits. Like, of course, smoking, I feel like people, it's the more rapid effect they can have from it. Gummies for me are always a matter of convenience. You know what I mean? Like that's really what I feel like it boils down to. Tinctures really good when you're really focusing on dosing. Like you're someone that is very important because your client or someone might have other ailments, you're trying to balance things evenly. For me, it's always going to be drinking. Like that is my preferred method because I just feel like it's the most intentional use of the plant itself. And if you're working with like genuine blue lotus, drinking it in a tea form is like the closest we get to its original like ancient application and uses.
Hmm.
So for me, it like opens the plant fully. It gives you aromatic benefits. So if you're someone that's into that, aromatics, like aromatherapy, it has just beautiful like energetic properties, and a lot of that can get lost when you're consuming it in these other forms. But when you drink it, make a tea with it, it's always there for me. So it's a little more intentional, and for me it just has overall more fluid benefits in the body.
Yes, I agree. I love the tea, especially at night.
Yes.
It's nice to blend with
Yes.
other well, you gave me a blend with Blue Lotus in it, and I love that. So
And that is probably also another reason why tea form is best for me, because it's easier to blend it with complementary herbs or roots in that way too. So
yeah.
another thanks for saying that. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and that segues into my next question because um, Blue Lotus can enhance the effects of certain plant medicines, right?
Right.
So,
Yeah.
are there any plants or herbs that you wouldn't recommend pairing with it?
So for me, now I feel like everything in small doses,
Hmm.
right? So anything I wouldn't necessarily recommend, and I'm not saying never ever recommend together, but I find that the sedative effects that can come from like pairing blue lotus with passion flower sometimes can be a little disturbing to me in my professional opinion. And I feel like it's a blend or a combination people put together so often that it's not alarming. I don't want to say that word, but it just shows that there's kind of a misinformation maybe
Lack
about
of
the actual
education.
plant. Um, but that can also be attributed to them not actually utilizing the genuine form of the plant and not realizing. So it's not a concern because they're not getting the same effects. For me too, I wouldn't really recommend pairing blue lotus with anything that is like serotonin enhanced. Like St. John's wort and blue lotus should never be in the same room. Like I don't even put them in the same cabinets. Just keep them away from each other. They do not mix well together. That is definitely one I would recommend. There's a certain rue that I actually came about this through a client, and it's an MAOI. So it's an MAOI containing plant. Gosh, what is it? It's a Syrian rue. It's a
Mm.
type of rue. I know that medicinally, the two of them together can have a lot of really negative effects, like completely sedative, on the almost comatose like states on the body.
Oh
Not a
yeah.
good combination. Passion flower, Syrian rue, St. John's wort, those would be my big three that I would steer away from. Um, I feel like whenever I'm giving disclaimers, I want to try and give it as conclusively as possible because
Right.
I don't want anyone to have any negative. Surprisingly, like rhodiola is used a lot, and it can have a very like a mildly serotogenic effect too.
Hmm.
So I wouldn't really recommend it being used with blue lotus, but that's another one that seems to find its way into a toxic relationship with blue lotus. I don't know how. So that I'll add that one to the list too.
Okay. And even though we're going to be talking about it a little bit later, ashwagandha does mix very well with Blue Lotus from what I've
It
read. So,
Yes, it does, and there is a spiritual and physical chemical reason for that too. So it's pretty interesting. So
right.
I'm
I
excited to
read
get to
some
that one.
I found some recipes that I'm definitely going to try. So, before we start talking about how to use it in a spiritual sense, can you talk about how to identify Blue Lotus, like the authentic version of it? Because
Right.
I couldn't find the name. I know I have seen it in some of the subreddits where people are talking about Blue Lotus and they have said there
Mm,
is a similar flower that looks just
yes.
like it, but it doesn't have the same effects. So how can people
Correct.
spot the fake?
So, genuine blue lotus, for one, I will tell people a number one sign is if you are purchasing it and on the packaging or whoever you're purchasing it from, if
Mm-hmm.
they can give you like the genetic history or the taxonomy
Yeah.
or the actual scientific name, that is usually a number one indicator, because a lot of times people don't realize a lot of the Blue Lotus that's sold, it is like the scientific name on it explicitly tells you that it's not genuine Blue Lotus. But because it's so similar, like actual Blue Lotus is Nymphaea cerulea, and then there's other Nymphaea species that get misconstrued for Blue Lotus because they're so close in I guess really just properties, but also there's a lot of augmentation and seed state in order to make it look like it's genuine Blue Lotus. But you want to look for a, a genuine lotus flower, even by look, like appearance. It looks like a starburst to me, like it's a layering starburst effect. Whereas a lot of the not genuine Blue Lotus I see has more of just a symmetric, like flower, like almost like a regular sunflower effect, if you will. But whereas real Blue Lotus, it's like a starburst and it's layered.
Okay.
It has like 12 to 20 petals usually you're looking for. The ones we have currently don't typically look like that. And their petals actually are a little more pointed and angled. Than the rounded ones we commonly see. And the color is not as purple as what I see a lot of these flowers have.
Mm-hmm.
It's like almost like a deep indigo, but it tapers to like a pale color in the center. So
Oh,
that's
okay.
another glaring outline there. And I feel like for anyone, even if you're not like a sensitive or something like that, but genuinely when you are there, genuinely feels to be like a more vibrancy when you are near the real plant
Mm-hmm.
than the one that is not the genuine Blue Lotus. There's like an aromatic like effect, like it almost feels like a moist sweet scent. I
Oh.
don't When anyone that's experienced or had it or been around genuine Blue Lotus, they know it's the actually I don't know if you remember on one of the episodes I was on with you, you gave me Blue Lotus from a farm that was real Blue Lotus.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can tell immediately, like there's like a pungency in the aroma, and it smells sweet and almost fruity or like honey like. That for most people is the number one sign, because a lot of these other ones, even dry, it still smells like that. A lot of the phonies, I guess if you will, don't have that scent. So
Mm-hmm.
that's one that everyone can, I feel like, highlight, because you're looking for a scent, and the scent is always there, dry, moist. Genuine Nymphea cerule has like a sweet, moist, warm, honey-like scent to it. You
Okay.
can't miss it.
So if you're
Yeah.
buying it online, though, you won't be able to smell
You
it.
won't be able to do it. So that's why I led with look for
The looks
if
for
they
it.
even
Yeah.
indicate the genuine scientific name.
Okay.
Because again, a lot of the retailers, they are telling you the actual scientific name of the plant, and they're letting you know it's not genuine Blue Lotus, but just they don't, which is again ironic to me, because Blue Lotus in itself is not even a lotus. It's actually a water lily, which a lot of people don't know that either. But Nymphaea is going to indicate it's a water lily. For those of you that even need that, I've seen some packaging where it's not even a Nymphaea species. So I'm like, you shouldn't even be anywhere near this. I don't even know what this is. So just
Right.
move it to the side. But look for the genuine name, Nymphaea cerulea, and that will help if you're shopping online for starters. If
Awesome.
they cannot answer that for you or its origin, I would probably not purchase from that individual or that business.
Absolutely. So, in addition to being an herbalist, you're a spiritual maven.
I do a little
um,
something here and there.
yeah, do all the things. So, can you talk about how you use Blue Lotus in a spiritual way? Like, I mean, I know there are probably many different ways that you.
Oh my God. It's like an exhausting, especially like being a comedic practitioner. It's like our holy grail, herb or plant, if you will. In terms of spiritual uses, I feel like do you want me professionally how I recommend it, or how I've personally used it, or
Sure,
both?
both. Yeah.
Both. Okay. Well, I feel like a lot of it overlaps. So, in terms of like lucid dreaming, astral travel, I feel like that's the number one, um, spiritual use or purpose, benefit, blessing. There you go. That's a better word. I don't like to use verbiage where it sounds like you're just kind of sucking the life out of the plant. You know what I mean? So one of the biggest blessings of that plant would definitely be safe and protected, lucid dreaming and astral travel work, an increase in spiritual abilities. If you're someone that's trying to hone your spiritual gifts, it literally simulates an opening. So even just think Blue Lotus itself, it opens when the sun is out, closes when it's gone. So it literally is like an opening of consciousness plant. So if someone is working in that realm, trying to enhance their spiritual abilities, that is a number one use. Obviously for insomnia in a medicinal sense. If I come across clients that are suffering from like severe forms of depression too, or anxiety, that's another great one. And probably manifestation work. I don't feel like a lot of people use it often for that, but it is very, very good for that purpose, just because of the energetic properties the plant holds itself. So yeah, I mean, again, that's just touching the surface of a few
Yeah.
of the things that it attributes to, obviously. But yeah, I would say that's what I use it most for, especially in teas, cleansing baths. It's really good at cleansing your auric and energetic field. I probably put it in every bath I make, especially my blue bath. It's one of like the number one ingredients. So
Your blue
it's
bath?
incredible it's called my blue bath. I'm going to show you. I have a big bottle of it. I'll have to show you. It's a bath that's blue. And it's used with, it's made primarily with blue lotus, a few other like orris root, like a few other comedic herbs. And then also I do use, there's like blue cerulean like in it. So it makes the entire bath blue. So blue
Wow.
bath. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. It's a really good energetic cleansing bath, but it pairs really well with blue lotus because it's a cleansing and purifying plant in itself energetically.
Oh.
So I use it for a lot of that, like a psychic enhancement, all of those things. So yeah, most individuals I know that practice like professionally in that sense, it's one of their staples. So it helps to refine, but like enhance and attune your gifts too in a way that other herbs or plants don't.
Hmm.
So there's that. Yeah.
Interesting. I definitely want to
Yeah.
explore that in the future. So,
Yeah.
we're switching gears a little bit and we're going to talk about ashwagandha. I said it
Oh, I love ashwagandha.
right.
You said it right this time.
And as I said before, it really does pair well with Blue Lotus if you're looking for ultimate relaxation and deep
It
sleep.
does.
Can you talk about some other ways to use it?
Man, ashwagandha is, well, one, it's an adaptogenic. So I feel like that's something important to kind of highlight because when isn't it good to use, right? I just feel like adaptogenics are our friends. That's what I feel like. But I personally, goodness, other ways it can be used. Stress induced environments is probably the number one use. Any form of stress, like it could be mental, physical, emotional stress. Ashwagandha is great for that. If you feel like overwhelmed, anyone with trouble sleeping, which is where it also pairs in well with Blue Lotus because it helps promote like grounded and restorative sleep in your body. So anybody that has issues like with extreme anxiety, like anything that affects their nervous system too, that's when I find ashwagandha is also a really good like herbal ally to have for sure. It just works in an efficient way and it's very safe. It's
Hmm.
another one that's like a very safe root because it is a root technically by nature. So there's that. But it's very good for that, for grounding energy overall.
You mentioned that it's an adaptogenic. Can you talk a little bit more
Yes.
about that?
Sure. So adaptogenics are, and I actually want to probably, okay, I'll circle back and piggyback because I have something to add on to this too that I often see online and I kind of want to correct since I have this opportunity here. But ashwagandha is an adaptogenic. Adaptogenics are going to be our herbal allies that help to promote balance or relieve stress and bring your body back to homeostasis. So it is in homeostasis is your body working at its ideal and prime, like intended settings. Okay, your ideal operating settings. How about
Mm-hmm.
that? If that's a so adaptogenics help with maintaining balance overall, and like it's across your physical and mental sectors in your body. So um adaptogenics are our friends, like I said. Now, I wanted to add, I see a lot of people mention that Blue Lotus is an adaptogenic. It's not really chemically classified as an adaptogenic, but it does have adaptogenic like benefits.
Mm-hmm.
Hence why it is a great ally for other adaptogenics
Mm-hmm.
like ashwagandha. So I just had to put that out there because I've seen it so many times in the last however long, and I had to say something. I had to say something.
Do you have any advice about like what to pair with ashwagandha?
Um,
Ashwagandha? I did it again. Ashwagandha.
yeah, no, you did your best. It's okay. Again, it's a very friendly herbal ally, so it does pair well with a lot of things. Um, it pairs well with a lot of things. I would probably focus more on what we could avoid it being with, because again, it's a very friendly herb. It's not like it's St. John's wort where it doesn't want to talk to anybody. Ashwagandha is very harmonious and tends to work really well. I'm sorry, I'm like tangled in something here. I apologize. You're like, what is she doing? Sorry, guys. I apologize about that. But I would avoid ashwagandha with anything that has a very heavy or sedative like effect, because it's already a grounding like herb and root in itself. So man, even a good example would be having a little too ashwagandha and kava don't necessarily need to always be in the same room. It's okay if they are occasionally, but in small doses.
Okay.
Or valerian, for example, in
Mm-hmm.
ashwagandha don't necessarily need to always visit. They could maybe pop up on each other once in a while. Um, but it is a very good herb and root to work with others safely. I'm trying to think, do you want to throw out like maybe an example of something? Because then I can even formulate something in my head, like a T1 example of like what would be good if ashwagandha were in the mix.
Hmm.
You know what? I'm
Well,
thinking. I'm just thinking, what do I normally? I mix it a lot with hibiscus.
mm-hmm.
I mix it a lot with that, which is really good for. It's like a natural diuretic, so it
Mm-hmm.
does help bring the body into balance. So it works really well because they have an affinity for one another. Works really well with Blue Lotus. It works really well with yarrow.
Hmm.
A lot of feminine herbs, feminine ruled herbs, like if we're talking in a planetary sense, work really, really well with ashwagandha. It can definitely have more of like a maternal leaning energy, because like comedically it associates with goddess Ma'at, who is like balance in all things and harmony. So it's a very, even though it's a root, it's a very like Venusian energy, like Venus like energy. So
Oh,
it's like hibiscus, like it supplements a lot with other Venus ruled herbs.
okay.
Yeah.
So I have also in my research found that it could it could be problematic for people who have a condition like hyperthyroidism because it
Uh-huh.
can increase thyroid activity. So,
Mm-hmm.
are there any other scenarios in which you wouldn't recommend?
Honestly, that would probably be my largest disclaimer, because it increases like T3 and T4 in your body. And it's good if you're like hypothyroidistic, or if you excuse me, or if you just have a regular thyroid function. But for someone with that classification, that would be really, really dangerous actually. But other than that, I'm trying to think medicinally, any other negative effects or anything it shouldn't pair well with. And there's not very many. There's not very many. Again, it's a fairly safe plant, to work with. So that's why a lot of people tend to lean towards it. When all else fails, they kind of go towards ashwagandha. I've noticed lately. So I would definitely no. There's nothing else that I would think of in terms of a negative effect or pairing. But the T3, T4 increase would definitely be it for me.
Okay. And you did mention earlier that there was a spiritual connection between Blue Lotus and ashwagandha. Do you want to talk
Yeah,
about that a little bit
there is.
more?
Yes. So, comedically speaking, the blue lotus plant is going to resonate or symbolize the sun god Ra, and then ashwagandha is going to align with his daughter, which is goddess Ma'at. So, and she is the symbol of balance. So the two of them always are really good at working in synergy with like immense healing and emotional release, like recalibrating your whole body and soul. So that's like one of their really significant pairings when it comes to energetic benefits. That just happen to manifest as physical benefits, really, if that makes sense.
Okay, that
So
does
they're
make sense.
staples
I
in
have
my
seen
practice.
some rest. Yeah, I was going to say, do you make, I forgot what they called it, moon milk or something like that. It was like,
Yeah. Yep. Yep. It's made. A lot of people can make it in variety. I've recently started adding cinnamon to mine.
hmm,
And I do, I mean, I cheat a little. I do use coconut milk. I don't, because I don't really care for regular milk. So I do use coconut milk, but you can soak your lotus flowers in them too. And you can soak a little ashwagandha, and I actually soak orris root too in it, because it's really, really good. Also aligns with goddess Ma, and it is like has a really fragrant, like sweet aromatic scent. So it just makes everything great. It's used traditionally in perfumery, but it just has a great aroma.
oh, really? I didn't know that. That's
Yeah.
interesting.
Orris root. Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Well, is there anything else you would like to add about either Blue
Ah,
Lotus or
goodness.
ashwagandha before we end?
I'm just, I feel like ashwagandha has so many spiritual benefits. Um, I feel like it's really good for people that have, I know this might sound, but if you have a flighty energy, like you have trouble feeling grounded, or some people that might suffer a lot from, believe it or not, convulsions or like spatial issues, in terms of their like brain space, like their, what is that term they use when people kind of zone out?
Dissociate?
Dissociate. Thank
Hmm.
you. If you're someone that dissociates a lot, ashwagandha is incredible for like grounding your energy. Some people don't even, they they might go to a physician and they don't have an actual cause to pinpoint why you're dissociating or why you're having these experiences. Ashwagandha is really, really good at safely like grounding you, and like it'll help your body just, your nervous system center itself and calm yourself in like a way that other herbs and roots kind of don't. So it's a little fascinating for me, but I've noticed an increase in people having that issue. So that's why I wanted to throw that out there. It's really
Yeah.
good for that.
Well, I wonder why.
Yeah.
um, I
There's
didn't
been
even.
a huge there's been a huge increase, but I just like to throw that out there. That
You should be
is all, you
throwing it
know,
out to there in bulk to people and like
I know
uh,
it's, yeah, it's, but
airdropping
it's,
tea blends.
it's also, ashwagandha is really, really good too if you're someone that you want to work on like enhancing your intuition in any way.
Hmm.
It has a natural affinity for like the enhancement of intuitive properties. So you might not necessarily want to be like, psychic like myself, like on this level doing this kind of work. But if you're someone that just wants to be able to follow a genuine intuitive instinct well, ashwagandha is a really good herbal ally to like promote that naturally in your body, in your being, I guess, if you will. It's very good for that.
And all of this talk, and I didn't even ask you, what would be your preferred method of consumption when it comes to ashwagandha?
Oh my goodness. Okay, so for ashwagandha, for me, I, believe it or not, I love a little tincture. I do. I do really like a tincture of ashwagandha. Um, I don't, and I'm not really a tincture girl. Like I make them, but I don't personally like ingest them often myself. But ashwagandha for me, I do find for my personal body, like and medicinal effects, tinctures just do the trick for me. I do incorporate it in a lot of my teas, but I'm gonna say tinctures win this battle for me for ashwagandha. Yeah, definitely.
Interesting. Yeah, I haven't tried a tincture for that yet. I mean, I've had the tea,
Yeah,
but not, and I've had it in pill
yeah.
form as well, but.
I have had it, which is very underwhelming to me. I'm just also not a huge fan of taking pills, hence probably why I'm an herbalist. I don't know. So there could be that, but I find that for me, any like the tincture effect I have with ashwagandha is actually incredible. So I
Interesting.
something with the uptake in my body, it prefers it.
What about people who have like a sensitivity to alcohol when it comes to tinctures? Because I have found that I'm maybe as I'm getting older, developing a little bit
Yeah.
more of a sensitivity to that.
So for those that are truly, and this is again probably why I don't consume tinctures a lot because I don't drink alcohol. So I'm not a fan of the effects it has on my body. And I don't think it even pertains to my age. It's just that my body is not, it does not find alcohol a favorable substance in it, I suppose. I don't, that's the best way to put it. I would be honest, if someone does not enjoy, there's not any, in my opinion, there's if you are able to take something in tincture form, you are typically able to also take it in tea form. If you are someone that does not handle alcohol well, or you just don't enjoy it at all, do not force yourself to ingest it. You don't need to. You can just have it in a regular tea form, or if it's, I mean, ashwagandha is a root, so we definitely want to make sure it's like a decoction. So at least make sure you're boiling it for 20 minutes, guys, low boil for ashwagandha, so you can release its full benefits. But that is my, whenever I have a client that asks or they say, hey, I actually do not like alcohol. I don't want to use tinctures, or I will use a tincture, but I don't like alcohol. I'm like, then don't use a tincture. You don't have to. You can use a tea. It'll, the effects are going to get there. You just, some people, again, tinctures are a matter of convenience for me too. I feel like gummies are convenience and I feel like concealment, but tinctures are a matter of convenience, truly,
Hmm.
in my opinion. So teas
Absolutely.
are,
And I know there
I
are
mean,
tinctures that don't have alcohol in them, but that's
yes,
more difficult to find. And I think
they are
sometimes
they are very difficult to find. And me personally, I have not refined that skill even myself. Um, I'm going to probably, I just had a person I thought of who would probably know um, great methods in terms of making them. Bettina, who is the owner of Charmington Holistic, she would be probably more of an expertise
Mhm.
in alternative tincture making methods that do not require alcohol. So
Oh,
I'll have to circle
interesting.
back with her.
Yeah, shout
I'll get
out.
something and circle back with her. Yeah,
Yes,
I
people
will
in
definitely find
Baltimore,
out.
check out Charmington Holistics, right? Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah, check her out. We love Bettina.
And speaking of checking people out, so thank you so much again for joining me today. How can people support you? Where can they find you?
Oh my goodness. You guys can find me on pretty much all social media platforms, Instagram, Threads, Substack. I'm unfortunately not on X, so I am not there.
Not
But you
unfortunate.
can yeah. And on YouTube, all Tashiana the Sun Goddess. So you're able to find me there. You can also find me at my website, tashianathesungoddess.com. You can feel free to drop me an email, a message via my site, or just at my email, support@tashianathesungoddess.com. So I'm very reachable.
Well, thank you so much. And before we go, we have a new Christopher's Corner to listen to. So don't hang up yet.
Awesome.
Hello, everyone. Christopher here from Christopher's Organic Botanicals. I built this company on the belief that natural leaf deserves respect, not distortion. We've stayed committed to that since 2016, and that is the mission and the backbone of everything we do. We do not sell anything but natural kratom of any kind on our website. 7-OH and mitragynine pseudoindoxil are commonplace in the market, but they are not natural kratom, and we won't compromise our standards to chase trends. This week, we just released a fresh batch of Green Mang Da testing at 1.5% mitragynine. Clean, strong, and reliable, exactly what plain leaf should be. If you like a balanced daytime profile, this batch is a winner. We also rolled out new specials on the website. If you're new, use code FIRSTTIME for 15% off your first order. You can also use I Love Kratom, that is for 10% off your order. And every dollar spent receives 10% back in points. We've also recently added ashwagandha to the website. It's a trusted botanical with a long history, and customers have been asking for it, so now it's available. Now the critical update. There are bans popping up everywhere. Towns, countries, entire states, these proposals are moving fast. The only thing that stops them is your voice. This is the time to speak up and tell your story. Send an email, show up at a hearing, join the Zoom sessions when they're available. 5 minutes of honest testimony can shift an entire room. Lawmakers need to hear the truth. How this leaf has helped you function, work, parent, or simply live a better life. If we stay quiet, the people who misunderstand these plans will speak for us. Before we wrap up, make sure you join our school community. That's where we share education, legislation, alerts, and real action steps to protect actual natural options. The link will be in the show notes. Thank you for tuning in.
Getting Personal with Plant Medicine is brought to you by Christopher's Organic Botanicals and is produced by Your Highness Media.